Welcome to the episode of Intellex Juris, the podcast where we dive deep into the intricate world of law. Today, we are honored to have Pranjul Mehta sir, who is currently working with Hindustan Unilever as assistant manager and have previously worked with GSK, Aurobindo Pharma Limited, and Questlex. He has total 8 years of experience. With his experience and insights into corporate law, Pranjul Mehta sir will be sharing his journey, responsibilities, and evolving role of legal professionals in the corporate sector. Now, I request Sakshi Priya to carry forward the conversation.
Thank you, Bhamini. First of all, thank you, sir, for accepting our invitation for this legal talk.
I'm grateful you
Yeah,
have asked me to attend it.
most welcome, sir. So, you have had an impressive journey in the field of corporate law. And so, first of all, I would like to ask you what experiences influenced you to shape your career in the field of corporate law?
So when I when started college, I didn't expect to go to corporate law. I was not aware there's something called corporate law, to be honest, when I started my college. And it was in my second year when I did my course was BBA LLB, and we were asked to do a BBA internship also. Unlike
Okay.
how people generally do legal internships, we were asked to. So my one of my good friends got me an internship in Dr. Reddy's, and where I was sitting there and I was seeing the employment contracts there. I was doing an HR internship and I was seeing employment contracts. I'm like, oh, this is something new, which I was not
Mm.
aware of. It is an employment contract, and you hire people, onboarding is there, and you're like, corporate is something there to venture around. But as my university was in an initial career, we couldn't get many opportunity to intern at a corporate level. But that sting me that, oh, there is an opportunity there. But to be really honest, telling you, till the time I didn't join corporate in my first year, I was not aware how many fields are there in the corporate. There are multiple fields that people are not aware of it. Till today, I get to know this is a new field, and I'm like, okay, like data privacy is a big thing these days, and it has become
Yes,
a big, massive thing. And after Data Protection Digital Act in India will be enforceable very soon, it will create number of opportunities for other legal fraternities to venture those careers also.
yes, sir.
Always challenge yourself. Don't get comfortable anywhere. Just keep challenging yourself. If you have mastered something, don't just stick to it, because there will be a day that you will get saturated and you will get bored with it. You will get bored with a lot of things. So keep challenging or try to adapt to new places. If you get comfortable at one place, it's not a right sign for you to learn next level anywhere you go. That's something my
Yes.
advice to people.
So that's surely giving us a great context for our discussion today. So, as a layman, the first question that comes to my mind is who are in house counsels and what are their key responsibilities?
The role of an in-house counsel is basically the legal background of a company. We advise on wide range of legal matters, from contracts to intellectual property rights, from any risk mitigation from legal perspective, and make a compliance check for a industry. Any industry you're working, there will be multiple compliances which needs to be followed. There will be some common, but there will be industry specific compliance which needs to be followed. That needs to be taken care of from a legal perspective. And legal
Mhm.
advisory can be from various range, from any litigation matters, from any process matters, from any merger matters, anywhere. So it's a very
Mhm.
tricky, it's there cannot be one solution answer. Depending on the industry, company structure, and how things are placed in order, it all depends on that.
Yes, sir. That really highlights the unique aspect of in house legal work. But, sir, legal challenges can vary depending upon the industry that we are in. So, can you share how the legal challenges differ across different industries, which will give us insight into how many types of industries require the role of in house counsels?
Let's divide into multiple. So my first company was an LPO. Okay,
Okay, sir.
so that industry, it's a different way. So what you do is you are a service provider to a lot of big law firms. You
Hmm.
scrutinize, you go through, review the documents and send it across to period which case is going on, and you send across the documents. These are relevant documents, these are irrelevant documents. And there was little contracting part also there. That basic contracting was done there. So these help you in challenging that how to read a document. My second journey, the exciting journey which actually started my career, kick-started my career, was in Aurobindo Pharma. I had a good mentor there. So when you start any career at a contracting level, any in-house you will go, they'll always give you contracts. They'll ask you to read contracts. From a CDA to an NDA to other documents, you keep going on. What it helps you is to understand the business. The major understanding for any legal profession is if you're working in in-house, understand your business. If you don't understand your business, you will be useless to them. You need to understand two basic parts of it. Always people will say you are an expense to a company as a legal profession, but that legal expense is going to save millions and millions of rupees or dollars, depending on which company you're serving, in a very different way, from a litigation perspective, from a risk perspective, from any future risk management you need to do from right now onwards, or any compliance issue needs to be carried forward by legal professions in a way that you don't see one day. You have to see five years down the line. You have to see 10 years down the line, any changes you're making. So generally when you start a career, you will mostly you will go through contracts, and commercial contracts are backbone of any company. You will have to go to understand finance. You have to understand finance. You have to understand taxes. You have to understand what is an Incoterm. You have to understand how manufacturing. So most of my experience is in manufacturing companies. You have to understand how manufacturing is done, how the transportation, how the storage is done, how the distribution model works. Or when I work for a pharma company, how a licensing model works. Because you need to understand science also sometimes. It's actually how the science is. Because when I was doing R&D contracts, science is amazing. Like you would have done till 10th standard, I was doing all science, and suddenly I took humanities, and then suddenly I was reading about science again. I'm like, I thought, I wish I would have taken science in something and I would have done better job there. And in college, somebody was like, let's take IPR as an honors subject. And I took business and IPR as an honors subject. And I still regret one fact that if I could have done science maths and did engineering, I could have been a patent attorney in India. And I'm like, bad job career. But yeah, obviously you can always go back and say that this would have been right. But I'm happy right now. But yeah, if an opportunity ever comes to someone who is really interested in patents, because generally people think is, no, we'll do patents law, but you will not be qualified person to understand it. Yeah, when you're filing and everything, it's fine. But yeah, when you have to go and present it, it's going to be a very difficult task for you. So my advice will be to choose your career depending on what are your expectations. What are your expectations? See, your expertise can come once you start working on it. Your interest will come once you start working on it. But what you desire from your career is something you have to choose beforehand. When I started my journey, I never thought that I will reach here, to be honest. But was like, I should be in a level that I understand wherever I go, I stand, I can deliver myself, keep learning. And no company will work in a similar way. An Indian company and an MNC company will have a day and night different ways of working. Both has their pros and cons. Any person who is working in an Indian company can tell you there are pros and cons in a way that it's a government office, but it's a very good learning because you have a wide variety of works. When you work in an MNC, you just work on a specific matters. You don't work on a core entire matter because when I joined GSK, I was told that there are 400 lawyers in the GSK. And I'm like, India does not have a big law firms like this.
Huge number.
And they were like, okay, that's good to know, but what is my role there then? Why are you only one more person there?
Yes.
Like the industry is big. You have to work. You have a lot of work to come across. So yeah, that's something to look forward to for any profession, any person who is planning to do in-house. Also, in-house can give you one thing also, clarity is you will know how actually business operation works. If you know business operations, it gives you additional advantage in negotiating your points and understand what risk will arise in future. So a person who is doing a business studies, my advice will be go through it properly to understand how things metrics works and how things are done. That will help them a lot. See, my experience is mostly on manufacturing. I can talk about manufacturing, but people who work in IT sectors, e-commerce, and other service, uh, my advice would be do reach out to them also in your podcast so they can help you what are the risks there and how things are achieved there. I can give you a basic idea right now, but to be honest, people who actually work there will give you a broad idea how things actually operate there.
Yes. So this shows how each industry presents its own domain of legal issues. So collaboration is a key in any corporate setting. So how do you see in-house counsels supporting different departments within a corporation, such as HR or marketing, etc.?
I'll talk about my current role, right? Current role and my
Sure.
just previous role. So basically, I'm supporting currently supply chain vertical. So mostly I've taken care of manufacturing, supply, procurement, and supply of products, and where it stores, how it's transported, those contracts. Now there are teams who supports HR services. There are teams which are supports onboarding of services at office, cleaning, cafeterias, these services. There will be services
Yes.
teams will be supporting IPR. So there will be there will be a clause in my contract which will talk about IPR. So if any changes needs to be done, because as a classic example from a pharma perspective will be there will be APIs which are there, which will be mixed together and medicines will be formed, a tablet will be formed, or a capsule will be formed. So those two will have their inherent background IP, but I'm creating a new IP out of it. How that IP will work, we need those rights. So even though if I know a contract, but to understand how the IP with filing will be done, sometime I have to reach out to my IP counsels also, who are expert at this field. Sometime when I'm writing contracts with respect to European, is something called TUPE, where transfer of employment is done. When somebody is hired for X thing, and um, it's not a right example, but to give an example, sometimes law firms will be like, you are supporting this client, and you go and sit there in their offices only. So if you start working, if you do in Europe, and if you start working with them for a time, and there is a law which says that if tomorrow we terminate, onboard them, all the rights has to be absorbed by the company itself, not with the actual employer. The salary might be paid by the employer, but tomorrow we have to onboard that person with through their PF, everything. So those laws needs to be implicated. So you have to connect with the HR before letting them know how this things will work. And with finance, any payment, because any payment terms are there will be tax implications like GST is in India, VAT is outside India. So lot of things, export taxes, custom clearance there, or any bill which is due. So if you send products and you don't get billed, RBI will send you notice. The product has gone from India. Where is the money? Because they have to keep record of. So as you're aware, we have foreign reserves, right? They will get to know what the money, why the product has gone, or are you doing any conspiracy of black money laundering? So that needs to be track record. So finance is a big key role there also. So every legal has to coordinate with each and every one of them. And legal has to report also what issues are going to a CFO or a CEO, depending on the company structure, telling them these are the issues where we have to highlight. When it comes to compliances, we have to tell that these compliances are not there. Most common will be giving training sometimes. So there's something called preventing of sexual harassment in workplace. Those trainings need to be required to be done on a yearly, quarterly basis, so that there is no problem for the company and people are educated enough to not to do anything, to be honest, stupid. The word stupid would be right word there. Yeah. So those trainings will be there. Any anti-bribery trainings will be there, because all the MNCs will be like, we don't want to get engaged with any briberies, because their brand reputation is such a big thing to get caught in such a thing. And with every digitalization, it becomes more and more difficult to not things things to be kept quiet, to be honest. So people are very engaging, and trainings with related data privacy, uh, the latest thing. So don't share your personal data. That's a training which needs to be done very, very regularly. So legal has its role with, we have to coordinate with everyone. It's just that what department you're working on and what kind of company you're working on. Sometimes things are very easily, smoothly done. Sometimes you have to run behind them.
Yes, sir. So this shows how legal support is crucial across the departments.
Correct. Exactly.
Yes, sir. So now let's delve into the contract management. The most important question for me. What are the most common type of contracts that you handle, and what are the key elements that you look forward in each type?
Let's take a step back.
Yes.
First, when it comes to contract management, this is a big industry in India, and it's going to be a big industry for years to come. The reason is a lot of MNCs are creating their GCC offices in India. They want they want folks to work on a contract, Indian people, because global contracts will not have a particular litigation for a particular governing law where you have to just go for a particular country. You can have a global laws. As you're aware, ICC is one of the biggest dispute resolutions, and
Yes.
you can have a common law country. You will have a basic laws will be same like India, so you can actually interpret in the contract. And mostly commercial contracts, which we deal into, will not have a local jurisdictions, local law implications. So it will becomes easier for you. So there will be a huge opportunity for people. What day to day my job looks like is, as I said, I mostly support supply chain vertical of a manufacturing companies. So contracts might a small contracts will can start from an NDA to a NDA or a CDA. Then it can go from a supply agreement. It can go to a distribution agreement. It can be a service agreement with respect to we procuring services from a logistic partners for a air transport, land transport, or shipping transportation, or a warehouse transportation, or my previous store, it can be a licensing agreement that we have a product. So I work for a generic company, Aurobindo Pharma, and I work for an innovator company called GSK. So an innovator can license its products to other companies and say that you can use this product, but just pay me some fees about it. So because the capacity of each company will be limited. So that's one of the reason, and we can delve into how pharma industry work, but it's going to take a lot of time. But a lot of times the filings takes place before you actually approach these things. So in a contract management, what basically will be, depending on the industry, you will have various form of contracts from supply to sale, and sometimes you will have a master contract, then you will have a SOWs, and those SOWs might have other things. In a contract, most of the part will be commercial in nature. But because it's drafted in a legal language, you have to explain to your business in a layman terms what's written there, how risks are associated. It used to be an example. I used to explain people that I'm sure you're aware of Nirav Modi's case of credits, right? Letter of credits was there. Companies used to ask, business will like, why can't we use letter of credit as a payment? And like, let's stop doing that now. If we are telling something, stop doing that. Because we know the implications which others are facing. Those are the risks. When you keep updating yourself, what is going in the market, it's not a legal implication, but this is a risk which you have to highlight. And how craftedly you draft a contract is also a very good way to deal with situations. There's something called lead time. There's something called a lead time where you tell people that we want products in 90 days. You place an order 90 days before and they'll supply. But the lead time, if I'm delivering a product, the lead time should be at dispatch, not at receipt. Okay. If you write in a contract in a right way, it can help you in getting your risk covered, because you are a manufacturing company. You are not a logistic partner. You are not sure once it goes on board, will the plane reach on time? Will the shipment will reach? So your dispatch should be your lead time, not at your receivables. So that's how it's not a legal term, but it's a risk you understand when you keep working on a contract. So those are the things which you link into it. Most of the part are commercial in nature in the contract, but it's as I said, you have to interpret it, you have to explain. Being very honest, in my last 6-7 years of career, I barely find people from business who are smart enough to understand contract in one go.
Nice. So building on that, every legal professional encounters some or the other unique challenges. So can you describe that one challenge that you faced while you were in this field, and how did you successfully navigate it?
People's management. How do people manage? See, you can read a law and understand. If you don't understand, you can always ask folks, your colleagues and everything and understand. But managing people all by yourself is a challenge.
That's a challenge.
When I say challenge is, sometimes it can be your boss, it can be a business partner, it can be a counterparty which you're working with. It's a challenge because end of the day, you have to get the best deal out of for your own company, and you will win some battles, you will lose some battles when you, especially in contracts. Even when it comes to a regulatory, you have to deal with regulatory people also. You have to deal with people in your own company who are not following the norms of the company. You have to keep to check on them. You have to make sure the compliance are followed in the right way. So people management is a very critical part of any profession you go. But as a legal fraternity, because everybody will be like, don't get legal involved, don't get legal involved. But legal has to get involved in each and every part of it. Even
in any way.
Even an exit sign in a company needs to be taken care by legal because it's a compliance issue if a fire goes off.
Yes,
so
sir.
That needs to. So people do not see small bit of part what legal actually does. It has to get involved from compliance to contract management, from IPR to everywhere. So the challenge is how to manage people there, how to explain them what risks are there.
That is indeed very motivating, sir, to understand how these small things which people usually neglect, don't put their mind into, actually there the legal professional play their role. Yes, sir. So lastly, any advice for us law students or any budding lawyer who feel they have an interest in this area or they want to proceed with their career in this field?
Know your business anywhere you go, right? Anywhere, any company you join. Take a month, 2 months, sit with your boss, sit with business, understand the business. I'm telling you, everybody has an understanding what risks are there instantly when they understand the business. The problem is sometimes people just jump into contracts because they just want to get the work done. If you understand the risk, half of your job is done on the day one itself. You will, any contracts comes today to you, just understand how it will work, and you will have answers instantly. And if it's only contracts which people are looking most, 80% of any legal profession is contracts. It's always a contract. So understand what is required, what is the problem, and how to solve it. There will be days when the contracts are signed on all the against terms for your company, but it still gets signed. You just have to highlight the risk. But if you understand the business, you can actually just craftily draft out escape routes for everything. How to, if the contract is not working, terminate the contract without any liabilities. Or any liabilities are third party infringements are there, indemnification can be claimed. So that crafty drafting is something. Start on your draftings. Start working on your drafting. Take a drafting and pleading subject very seriously. I know when I started, I still not regret it, but I had a great teacher who was professor who was explaining drafting pleading. I wish I could have paid more attention. So my journey would have been more smoother than I wouldn't have been scolded.
That's a great advice to put a little more focus on our drafting skills and that subject drafting and convince.
Correct, exactly.
Sure. So we will definitely keep that in our mind. So that wraps up to our insightful conversation with you on evolving role of in-house counsels. Thank you so much, sir, for joining us today. And we are very honored by your valuable insights and knowledge, sir. So we wish you a great health and a great life ahead. Thank you,
Thank
sir.
you. See you. Bye bye.